Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Fearless Generations with Terry Sayer and Kelly Fox.
Hello and welcome to Fearless Generations, 12 Steps to Freedom. This is Kelly Fox, and we are here talking Step 12, which is love. And tonight we are talking all about boundaries, those things we love to have but hate to set up. So let's get this party rolling. Let me welcome my beautiful co-host, Terry Sayer. How are you doing tonight, Terry?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here.
It is good to have you. I love doing this podcast with you. Tonight we have on one of our favorite guest coaches. You might think that because she's on the show quite a bit. Please welcome the beautiful Trish March.
Yay!
Hello, ladies. It's so good to talk to you. I'm excited to be here.
We are excited to have you. So, remind our listeners what it is you get to do and who is it you get to serve.
Well, I love to work with clients who have kind of lost themselves in their life, right? They have, all these things happening in their life, and they've lost who they are. They've lost the spark of what they want out of their life, and I help them find themselves, find their true selves, and reclaim that spark that they have so that they can live their greatness every day.
Awesome. Yes, we are all on a great mission, and you are a valiant fighter of the fight. I don't know where that came from, but that's what came out. Okay. Let's talk love and boundaries. So, Trish, start us off with what is love? What does love mean? What does it represent? And then how does it relate to boundaries?
Well, for me, love is love is very important to me. Love is one of the biggest qualities that I want to convey in my life to the people in my world and to people in general. And it's just one of the most important qualities, I think, that you can offer yourself and other people. So it's really very special. And I think that I didn't love in a balanced way when as I grew up. I think that I just loved everything and everybody. And then I kind of the pendulum swung the other way, and I was like, why? Why doesn't everything work out in my life? Like, why do I get hurt by people? Because I was just so loving and so giving with everybody. And it wasn't in a balanced way. So, I was a people pleaser, and I wanted to make everybody happy, and especially with my family. Like, I gave them everything. So, but it was really out of balance. So I was kind of unhappy with all that. And so boundaries for me were really important to figure out. Like, how can I love people and have people in my life and, not find myself people-pleasing or being imbalanced. So for me, boundaries are things that they're kind of a gift I give myself. Setting up boundaries to be respectful of the things that the way I want to live my life. So, love is everything, and boundaries helps me be in balance with my love.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I used to pride myself on saying that I would give my last drop, out of my cup to someone. But when you think about that, what is the quality of that last drop? Probably not great quality. And also, if I'm giving my last drop, then what do I have to survive on? I have nothing.
Yep.
Right? So And what does that benefit anyone? It doesn't benefit the person I'm giving it to, and it doesn't benefit me. And so I had to create boundaries for myself similar to you, Trish, of, I will give up till this point. And when I hit this point, the rest of what's in my cup is for me. And I at that point, it's my responsibility to fill my cup back up so that I can give more. And I also schedule time or take time to fill my cup back up, like my morning routine or my late afternoon nap or, alone time, listening to music, connecting with friends, whatever it might be. Even a conversation with my kids can be filling my cup. It just depends on the conversation we're having. But it's my responsibility to fill my cup back up. So when I get to that, but if I get to that point where I'm like, nope, this is as low as I get, it's holding that boundary as well. It's saying, I love you and I'll come back to you tomorrow when I have, more to give, or after I take a nap or, after I do something that fills my cup back up. But I won't allow my cup to get any lower than this point.
That's a great practice, Kelly. That's a great awareness to have and thing to practice, because I do feel like my dad has been sick for the last 10 months, and I am a little bit out of balance with him, and I really don't have any boundaries in what I'm doing, because I've kind of made choices to really give as much as I can, but I have felt really strongly that my cup is empty, and like you can't do anything when you don't have anything in your cup. So, and then I have to make additional choices or set other boundaries in order to continue surviving and supporting him. So that is, finding balance. And so I'm trying to work towards finding that balance now. And because it's hard with your family, especially your parents, if, they get sick and you're helping to take care of them, it's hard to set that boundary because you want to take care of them and make sure they're doing well. So definitely something I'm working on now. So that's a good reminder.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like I do it in every area of my life, but there are areas in my life where I've practiced enough where, like, when someone outside of my home needs me, either they're texting me, they're calling me, they're emailing me, messaging me in any way, and I have hit that boundary line, I do not message them back until the next day. And I've been able to do that. I don't feel this urgency, like I have to respond right away or what will they think? Like that's all gone. Like I've let that go, and unless it is an emergency, I let it go to the next day. They can wait to the next day. So that is something that I have been pretty good at lately. Though when it's someone in my house, it is not as easy to hold that boundary, because sometimes kids just need something, and it doesn't matter to them whether or not you're at your boundary line or not. But that's why I said it's my responsibility to fill my cup back up. And to show up in my home the way I want to, then that's something that I've committed to doing, so that I can show up when they need me to.
Yeah, that's great.
Terry, how about you?
Well, just be sure you call your mother back when she calls you.
Yeah.
You can have boundaries with your mom too. That's fine. This is something that has been a challenge for me in my life, to set boundaries. I think when I first got into Fearless Living and started even thinking about them and coaching people, I was like, I don't even know what a boundary is. being a perfectionist and not really appreciating or loving myself, I just was always fearful that if I didn't do everything and didn't do everything perfectly, that I wouldn't be loved. And so I don't know when that became a part of my life, but I can kind of remember it from the time I was in high school. So that's quite a long time, because I didn't really practice becoming a recovering perfectionist till I was in my 60s. So that's when I had the awareness of the fact that I really had no boundaries at all when it came to pushing myself to do everything that I was asked to do, or that was related to my work as a teacher, or related to my church work, or related to my community work. So it was, I had this time in my life when I had this, I would call it an epiphany, where I realized that the reason I wasn't happy was because I really wasn't, I was not feeling loved, or really expressing love to other people in a really healthy way. I was angry a lot of the time, and probably, when I was putting on my perfect face, showing up perfectly, I would appear that I was happy, and I would appear that I was in control. But there was this turmoil always in my soul of not being good enough. And so I was, and I don't know if I was sleeping or when but I had this vision of an hourglass, and this hourglass, all of the sand was in the top of the hourglass, and none of it was going through to the bottom. It was just sitting there, and the hourglass was upright in a vertical position, so the sand should have been going through the little neck of the hourglass. And I had this realization that what was keeping the sand there was my lack of self-love and self-acceptance and appreciation for my talents and my skills. And that was keeping me from sharing this sand, which was love, with anyone else in an authentic way, because I was stopping it from flowing with ease from the top to the bottom of the hourglass by not loving myself. And that was just like this realization that just hit me like a ton of bricks. And so I saw this plug in the hourglass disintegrate. And when I learned to love myself, and this is all hypothetical, that sand just started flowing through. And the thing is, as soon as the bottom was filled, it just automatically flipped over, and it was a continuous flow of this sand, which was a symbol of love. And that's when I really started then to love myself and to consider self-care. Now, that it didn't happen like the next day. It took a lot of practice and a lot of commitment to learning how to have self-care and how to love myself, and how to then genuinely internalize, for me, the love that I professed, that I felt from God, and really started to feel it and develop my spirituality based on that love that God had for me, rather than what I heard or what I read or what someone told me. This really authentic relationship with my higher power. And then wanting to emulate that in my life, like Trish said, have the essence of love, that would be my essence, that people would feel that from me, I would genuinely show that as who I was and how I wanted to show up. So I've worked on it now for almost 18 years, and I've gotten to the point where I feel much more secure that I do genuinely feel that, and think that, speak that, act that. And the boundaries just naturally have begun to form, because if you're loving yourself and to have self-care, if you're practicing that, then you can start to set boundaries that cross over into not having self-care, into being a people pleaser or into saying yes when you could say no. It just crosses over into those areas because either you're weary, you don't feel well, you haven't had your time to exercise, your nutrition is starting to wane, and when those are all signals that you need to set some boundaries around your self-care. And the self-care then creates that, like Kelly says, how, during your morning routine, taking a walk, whatever it is that then fills you back up, whatever it is, you're going to do that because it's what then stimulates that essence of love in your life. So it's been a challenge for me to get to that place, but I always say it's never too late. You're never too old. The time will come that you can incorporate that concept of love into your life, both for yourself and for your family and your community. And so I still sometimes struggle with boundaries because of the perfectionism is an addiction. I have to constantly, through self-care, remind myself that I can do what I can, when I can, the best I can, and that's all God really created me to do. None of us were created to be perfect in this life. And so I still struggle sometimes with boundaries, saying yes when I could have said no. And it would have been better for me and my self-care to have said no, because then it pushes me into going beyond my energy level or whatever. So I still am challenged by that, but I'm so much more aware of when those boundaries would be supportive to me. And I'm learning to give myself more time and not fill my days up by saying yes to everything. And that's because I want to do everything. It's not that I feel like somebody's pressuring me to do it. I just have that's a desire. I have to put a boundary on myself, is not feeling like, I guess it's the disease called FOMO, fear of missing out, not wanting to be everywhere, doing everything. And it's more like I want to learn that. I want to be a part of that. And so that's a boundary that I'm learning to set, so that it's all around taking care of myself, so that I have the energy to do the things that are what really matter most to me. And so I think that's kind of my story about developing self-love and knowing how important that is, because without that, it keeps that flow of love naturally with ease, being in your space, being a part of your flow, so that you can have that, I think Trish said it's everything. You can have love. Love is what makes the world go around. Have that as a part of your being. And it takes that constant attention to your self-care, to your level of energy, to your capacity to love yourself. And then that flow of love can, just be continuous. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. Just to kind of build on top of that, I think my ability to give myself self-love, has increased my confidence and my awareness about, the types of activities that I was doing, like how I was feeling in situations, and, gave me the confidence to really say to myself, like, am I happy being this people pleaser? Am I happy being the chameleon that, is different in every situation? Like, who am I? And,
yeah.
What is acceptable for me? What is not acceptable for me? And I think that's really driven a lot of my boundary process. I think initially it was because, maybe I was getting hurt, or maybe I was getting angry with the things that were happening with me. And whether that was energy related or, people pleasing or, being that chameleon, like I would get, I think I just got exhausted trying to do everything and make everybody happy. So yeah. I think that really started my, exploration of boundaries and like what was good for me, what was not, what was I willing to accept, what was I not, what empowered me, what did not, and really considering all those things, especially, you go into, you have a situation happen and you say, like, how could I have done this differently? Like, what do I want to do in the future? I think that's a really big question. Like, what do I want to do in the future so I don't feel like this anymore? So it's not an energy drain. So I feel like I am valued in this situation versus not valued. So really asking yourself, like, what do I want? What's good for me? What's not good for me? And really setting your boundaries around that information. So I think that self-love, gave me more confidence and more awareness to kind of look at these situations differently than what I was doing. Instead of bobbing and weaving and trying to make everybody happy and all the situations work out, really valuing myself and loving myself and saying, what is working for me? What can I do differently? What would make me happy?
I love that. I think sometimes for me it's like, am I having that sense, that feeling that, of contentment, of love in this moment? Or am I feeling obligated, or am I feeling pressured? Or am I honestly feeling the flow of love in this situation, either for myself, from someone else? And I can consciously switch that. If I'm judging or I'm comparing, bring me to a place of love. I can say, I can actually tell myself, this is not loving. Comparison is not loving. Contention is not loving. Judgment is not loving. And if I find myself slipping into one of those, frames of mind, I can change that.
Yep.
Because I'm aware that that's a boundary I've set for myself, is to not judge, to not compare. That those are boundaries I've set for my own personal thought process, my own mindset. And when I find myself in one of those positions, which to me, contention is the opposite of love. And if I'm feeling contentious, then I can ask myself, what am I expecting and what do I want? And then I can switch the way I'm thinking about it. I can give myself love. I can send love to that person. We're to love everybody, right? And it's one of the hardest things I think that it teaches us, and is to love our neighbors and our enemies. So it's something that when we're conscious and aware of it, we can set boundaries around how we feel and be aware. This feeling is a boundary I don't want to cross. I don't want to compare myself to other people, and I don't want to judge other people.
Yep, that's great.
And that's a powerful boundary to have, because that, I feel, is an easy place to get stuck, especially with the way that social media and advertising and the way the world runs right now. We're always comparing ourselves to someone else. They have more likes, or they have more followers, or they're more popular, or whatever it might be. And that doesn't serve any of us. The beauty all being different, and the beauty of us all having our own specific talents and things to bring to the world is, what makes life exciting. If we were all the same, or looked the same, or did the same thing, life would be dull. So, let's celebrate our differences and celebrate our triumphs and celebrate what's going good in each other's lives and celebrate each other's talents and not feel this need to put ourselves down or compare or feel like we need to make ourselves bigger and better, either side, to attain some worth, but that we see everyone's worth and we, love each other for who we are.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yep.
Yeah. So, ladies, it is that time. We are almost out It is 5 till the end of the show when we pause and allow our guest coach to share their contact information and anything else they would like to share with us. So, Trish, how can people get to know you better?
I think the best way for people to get to know me is to take a look at my website, which is trishmarch.com. Or I guess things are a little slow on my end because, as I said, I've been taking care of my dad for the last 10 months. We're selling his house tomorrow, and then I'm hoping to ease up just a little bit in what all is going on. So had the movers here today just to move some things over from his house to mine. So I would say the best way is to reach out to me through my either my website or to reach out to me on Facebook. I would love to interact with anybody that has any questions about boundaries or any other topic. I am excited to start planning for 2024 and what I'm going to be doing in the new year, because I do have some workshops I want to do, and I am raring to go. I've missed actively coaching and doing workshops, so I'm getting ready to ramp up and do some things in 2024.
Awesome. I'm excited to hear more, and make sure that when you have that information and dates that you do post it in the group so that everybody can see that and jump on that opportunity.
Thanks. I sure will.
Yeah. And feel free to put a link to your website in the group as well.
Okay.
And then that's easy one-step access for everyone to get on over to your website, just in case, there's any kind of question on the spelling of your name, or who knows what happens with technology, right? So just an easy one click is always good. Yeah. So, Trish, thank you so much for being here with us and always giving Fearless Generation so much of yourself, and we really appreciate it. And at the almost end of our 9th season, you definitely have been on here the most of our guest coaches, and we truly do appreciate and value all that you bring to the show.
Thank you so much. I really love being here and speaking with both of you and just talking about fearless living and all the different concepts that we use to help bring people to bring them to awareness and help them through their change.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We love you a bunch. Yeah. I keep giving it. All right.
Give it.
So we want to remind you all that the 12th. I'm sorry, what?
I said, give it. I want it.
Yeah. We want to remind you all that the 12 Steps to Freedom were created by Rhonda Britton, the CEO and founder of the Fearless Living Institute. You can find out more about Fearless Living at fearlessliving.org. You can also find Terry and I at fearlessgenerations.org, and everything is there for you, all of the past 9 seasons of the podcast, as well as information on some of our guest coaches. There's also information there about the workshops that we do, as well as our group program, which is starting super soon. So we appreciate you guys coming out each week. We appreciate our guest coaches. Coming to an end of season 9 is pretty amazing that we have stuck to it this long. Every Monday night here with you, sharing these principles and being here together. So we thank you. We'll be here next week from Hawaii, I believe. Is that true, Terry?
Yep.
Cool.
That's from Hawaii. Yep.
Yep. So we shall see you then. Until next time, everybody, be fearless.
Thank you, Trish. Love you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Love you. Have fun on your trip. Bye.
Thank you.